Hey there, I'm Jason Boyd, and we're back with Ken Sanders. I'd like to talk to you a minute about some of the challenges that you face in your current line of work, working in the low-budget world. I've said that I work in the low-budget world, but truthfully, I work in the no-budget world, and that doesn't really count. So I think some of the challenges I faced, while similar to yours, are perhaps we'll say the things that I deal with are almost non-existent for you. I don't have to think about distribution. I don't have to think about taking a project over a long period of time, because for me it's something like, oh, you've got 3 days and it's 10 minutes long and you have $100, do it. And so it's nothing, it's just, but in your world I think that's a lot different, although it's not to say that your resources are unlimited. So could we talk a little bit about that? And I'm sorry that was long-winded.
No, that's fine. And and as I'm listening to you describe this, the no-budget world, in some ways, it's not that different. I mean, I face the same challenges that any production faces. Limited resources for sure. I am trying to make the best looking, biggest looking, best sounding movie that I can make with limited resources. Now, luckily, the technology has evolved in such a way that you can get an amazing production value for less cost than you used to be able to 10 years ago. But I face those same issues. There is a limited amount of money that I can spend. It's very limited, and in terms of distribution, I don't always have distribution up front. I'm making films intending to sell to what I hope will be certain potential buyers, but I don't always know that up front that I'm going to get those deals. So every project I have to prove myself. I mean, I can't afford to make a flop. I can't afford to make something that's not going to work in the marketplace. And I want every one of my projects to be able to work across all platforms. International, domestic. I want it to work, potentially theatrically in a limited sense. Video on demand, DVD, television, internet. I mean, any of those platforms. You want to have some kind of a commercial viability in all of those platforms. So there is risk involved, and there's a lot of very careful consideration and planning that goes into trying not to make a mistake. So it's not necessarily that different from that no-budget world that you're talking about. Did I?
No, that's an answer.
Is that a complete answer? I'm trying to think. There's another part to your question.
I mean, it's complete for what I can remember of my question. I kind of lost it halfway through because it was so obnoxiously long. But you've given me another question, and that's excellent.
Okay.
When working on a film and you don't have distribution locked in, you have an idea. I would love to give this to this network or this studio or this distribution company, and it doesn't happen. And you've shelled out all this money, or you've gotten investors, and it's like, oh, haha, that sure thing isn't such a sure thing now. How do you, what do you do from there? How do you go about, recovering from that kind of a blow?
Well, it is a blow, and thankfully, in my case, that has not happened very often. But one of the ways you mitigate that is you do multiple films. So from my business perspective, I'm not in it to do one film every 2 years. I'm in it to do a number of films per year, and that way, you are mitigating your risk a little bit, because if one film didn't do quite so well, another film may do extraordinarily well and compensate for the loss of the other one. So that is part of the whole business philosophy of how I look at what I do. But as I say, once you have, listen, it's my job to know where the marketplace is, and it changes
Right.
every 3 or 4 months. You've got to have your finger on that and know, okay, this is sort of where it's going. Is people want more of this or less of this or whatever. You know, you've got to kind of know where you're going, and you've got to try to stay ahead of the curve a little bit. But we do that, and we have been very fortunate and very lucky in recent years in terms of being able to produce the right kind of product for the marketplace.
Right. Okay. Excellent. Thank you very much.